and we'll be there in a sec. Let's see. Hi, everybody. I'm Immigration Lawyer John Khosravi. It's July 2nd, our regular weekly session. Coming in late. I'm sorry. I was doing another podcast for my other company, Immigration Lawyers Toolbox, and went a little long, so ate into this time. But I've been doing a lot of pop-up lives, so those stuff do happen. If you want to ask the questions, more chance of getting answered, join us on YouTube, Immigration Talk or JK Law, because over there we get better question organization. When they're doing it on here on TikTok, there's so many people repeating the same question. It's hard to keep up what's going on. But if you want to contact us for a private consultation, jqklaw.com/contact is where to go. And, what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, yeah, if you're looking for a fiance or marriage case, our focus, download our guide, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. That's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Comment says, how long? Jen, I appreciate it. Sorry if my internet's not hearing me, but wonderful news. How long have you been waiting? Which location is it? Which office is it? Uh, RP says, how do they calculate? I'm confused. I don't know what you're talking about. User says, you don't really answer questions, sir, then go somewhere else. Oliver says, I have a court date now. I don't have. You got to ask full questions for me to know what's going on there, but thank you for asking that. Kate says, my I-751 was approved 8 months ago and still not a green card. What could be the issue? Maybe I've got lost in the mail. Do you know if they sent the green card? If not, you got to call USCIS if you got approved to ask them what's going on for it. Because, and then potentially just file for citizenship if you have an appropriate case for that. But you want to check with USCIS. 8 months too long. Essentially, after a month after approval, you got to start checking with them. Chantal says, I filed VAWA and waiting now back to my husband. Can he file for me? He can, but you already have a VAWA. I'm not sure it's worth it. Danny says, I'm married to a U.S. citizen, but she doesn't want to get papers. What can I do? You potentially look at a VAWA case because like they might be abusing you, trying to keep this, lording this over you and stuff like that. So there's that kind of psychological abuse. Maybe a VAWA case, something to look into, but I'm not sure. Mira says, can I start a small business to get a green? Does the investment have to be a certain amount? Yeah, you could start, depending on what country you're from, you start a small business, 2 visa, or maybe 1 if you have other company overseas. But there's a minimum investment of called EB5. In addition to 10 full time. So it's a tough one to get it through that. It's me says, Penny, good for you. There, Kate says, thank you. You're welcome. One two says, can you change address multiple times while sign paste going on? But you create problems because each time you have to notify offices and notifications don't go through, and then they send the like an interview notice to the wrong place. It gets super messy when you move, but if you move, you got to move. Maybe have a fixed mailing address to make it. I applied for my sibling in 2015. How long is it going to take? 10, 15, 20 years. AB says, I got deported from the U.S. for working illegally, and they banned me for 5 years. Now my time is complete. I don't know. We got to review your case, see what's going on. Angela says, can I inquire on what is taking so long for my husband? The waivers are taking forever, 2 to 5 years easily. AB says, or I have to file some other papers. I don't know. AB, I don't know. See what's going on. Mira says, how long after getting married can you get a work authorization? You get anything from work authorization just by being married. You got to file a case, and based on that, have a authorization request. And you have to have a proper. Chantel says, daughter to the U.S. through your office. Our consul is crazy. Our consul is crazy. There's no invitations. That person, your daughter, has to apply for tour, and then it's up to the consular officer what they want to do. So it's just really up in the air. Jen says, we started in May 2022. I made a mistake and didn't check the box for my husband would be visa. So it's the I-64. Not bad, honestly. Benin. Okay, not bad. Not bad. I'm glad it's done. But yeah, checking the wrong boxes can create a lot of problems. I'm glad that's almost over. You talk about F4 category, why it's extremely slow. Sure. So the F4 preference category is a special category that Congress created for brothers and sisters of U.S. citizens. And in it includes, the brother or sister, spouse, and children. Because of that, it eats up a lot of visas. So if your brother's married and has 3 kids, that's 5 visas that go. And what happens is there's an annual limit on how many of these visas or immigrant visas, which are essentially green cards, out. And so as you can imagine, since have all these brothers and sisters, all these people, there's a huge demand for this visa category, but there's a cap as given out here. So there's a long line, and it just keeps people getting added behind it because there's a limit of how many could enter the club, if you will. Here. So that line just gets longer and longer, essentially, and that's that. Bakir asks, my uncle is American. He is a citizen. Can he sponsor me in Afghanistan? Yes, case. I don't know, not. There's some exceptions that specialize on the programs or anything like that, but it's going to be tough to do anything. So I don't really have guidance. Talk to the attorney that handles a lot of Afghan cases. They might know some exceptions. Chantel, we already answered that. Forever Frida asks, I have to file an I-75 on the removal conditions for 2-year green card. And I had already sent proof that marriage is real. Do I need to add more? You need to always, pile it up in case they ask for more. So keep it going. David says, are you speak Arabic? No, I speak Farsi, Persian, Arabic. Quam says, can I bring my sister over? I only have a green card. What are options? Otherwise, when you say other options, the options other people have, which most people can't do anything. You as a green card holder cannot petition for her. Your sister has to find independent stuff to do it. Now, there's always nuances. If your sister's from Ukraine, Venezuela, or something like that, there's special programs they have. That's why I always have to dig in deep to see if there's some unique circumstance for you, but probably no options. But maybe there is. I don't know. Ty says, how long does it take to get your fingerprint letter for work permit? It's usually like a month or something, but it depends on your case. What's SIJS denial? That means they denied your case. Obama logged in. Okay. 1234 says, please tell me. I'm not sure what he's telling about. Truth says, what are applications being taken for spousal pro in place? There are no applications being taken. The program it's just been generally tough. It doesn't come into details until the end of summer. Myrna says, when you get married and file for green card, you get work authorization. 2 months to a year. Kwame says, thank you, you're welcome. 1-2 says, I'm a citizen. Can I bring my fiance to the U.S. if he is in asylum case he is in Canada? Yeah, you apply for them, then that's about it. Yeah, why not? I mean, it's a process, and Canada's taken a while to get an interview in Montreal. It's probably going to take you at least 2 years, but it's doable. So visa went to processing after interview. It's been 7 months, no update. Sorry to hear that. Maybe try filing a lawsuit. Fiance visa lawsuits are harder than marriage cases. We don't recommend doing fiance, but that might be. Hi, just want to ask, how long does it take visa approval to issue? There's not enough information there, but it's up to the government how long they want to take. Alan said, for my brother, and 12 cycle is already over. I haven't heard anything. There's no 12-year cycle. I'm not sure what we're talking about. Since 12 years is over, should I consult an attorney? You should have consulted an attorney a long time ago, then later, but you might just have to wait. There's no 12. I'm not sure where that's coming from. Baby says, after asylum interview, no response. What should I do? You file a lawsuit if you're eager enough for that. Check to make sure there was a response. Maybe they sent it to the wrong place, or follow up with them. They might have just forgot about you and they'll remember. Actually, haven't checked Instagram for a while. See if there's any questions. Sorry, everybody. UTES says, how much do you charge to apply for marriage green card, schedule a private consultation. We'll go over that. It's going to be several thousands of dollars. Xferny says, haven't seen my dad in 19 years. Sorry to hear about that. If I apply, can I go to Mexico and come back? I got a notice saying I'm deferred action, meaning is that DACA is deferred action, but deferred action may not be DACA. So it depends on your case and your facts. You could always try filing for advanced parole. But we got to see your background too to make sure it's not something, not make sure, try our best to cover it to make sure and avoid, can't use make sure because none of them sure anything, but to try to see if it's going to affect, you'd be stuck outside it essentially. So we got to review your cases going on. My wife came by, that's without inspection, essentially without permission. If I petition her, will she get a work permit while she waits for residency? You can't petition for, you could petition for I-130 petition. You got to do adjustment of status. You can't do it in your case until Biden's parole program goes in. If you're a citizen, if your spouse has been here for 10 years and you marry someone, and 10 years, no criminal history. So you really can't do anything right. But once you do file for adjustment of status, if it's appropriate, you also file for a work permit and you could probably get that going. But schedule consultation, there's a lot going on there that we got to discuss. Mira says, my company says they can't sponsor me because they have many Americans for the same position. That may be true. Essentially, the company can do whatever they want. So hassled. The thing is about sponsorship is the company has to show that other Americans that can do the same job you do. It's a cockamamie idea because anyone who wants to apply for this obviously is an hire American, but it's just a weird system. So essentially, if they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it. User 9 says, is K1 visa, should the foreign fiance get all her vaccine in her country? Yeah, it's better to get out of the way. It's not for the fiance visa. You could do the medical checkup without doing the vaccine stuff through the panel physician. But why not get out of the way and just get it? Afro says, can you mandamus lawsuit? We don't do mandamus lawsuits at our office. So if you like, there's other offices that do it, but we don't handle lawsuits. Alan asks, I applied for, answer that. ID says, my mom's I-140 failed in 2013, and I am the beneficiary on her case. I'm currently in U.S. on F1 visa. Is there any way I can get a green card either through change of status or military? Military stuff, I'm not sure what the current rules on advice, because there's like lawsuits about that. You could potentially do change of status, but I think you probably mean adjustment of status. For that, we got to see how old you are and if you come under the parent's case and if you lock in your Status Protection Act purposes. To if you're F1 visa, college student at this point, so maybe too late. It just depends. We got to do Protection Act analysis as well as there's the Child Status Protection Act, CSPA, is complicated, so we need to analyze all of your case and all this stuff that's going on, what's going on in. There's just too much to go on. We got to schedule a consultation to go over that. Any advice for NBC filing and do it now? I got to review your case, but a couple pieces of advice for if you're dealing with the National Visa Center documents, the SEAC, make sure your paperwork is like right side up. If it's sideways and the words are sideways, then they'll reject. They do it again. Make sure all the paper is uploaded. The sides, all four corners are visible. There's no parts cut off. It's really practical stuff, but it causes delays when people send that. And do your affidavit of support from IA-64 correctly. Not most, but we regularly see people who have because they keep doing the affidavit of support incorrectly. And so that'll save you a lot of time if you just do it right the first time around. All right. So Jay Toro says, I signed a contract with the Army. I leave for September. Parents get their papers. It doesn't work that cleanly. You apparently I don't know your case, so I can't say, but probably they got to do military parole in place if they enter without permission. You got to make sure they don't have the permanent bar or criminal history. Hopefully they don't. And you got to know what the permanent bar is, which is there's different ways to give that violations. It's too complicated to talk about here. But then you can petition for. You got to know more information. User 79 says, can you travel on parole in place? You could ask for travel permission. Yeah, it is the parole in place that we're talking about, the new that the administration wants to do. That one, it's not clear what you can do or not because the regulations aren't out on that. But regular parole in place, military parole in place, there is a possibility to travel, but you don't really want to travel on parole in place. You want to get the green card or get advanced parole based on the green card fine, then travel. To me, that's a little more secure. That's just a feeling. It's not based on like how the law should work, or it does work, but you don't really want to mess around travel at hardcore status. Parole visa from Afghanistan. What is the procedure to apply for asylum? We don't do asylum, so I don't advise on that. Rami says, consular processing IR1 category. My I-130 is approved. Case sent to Department of State. Problem is, I just found out from our approved I-130. What should we do? If there was a typo error on the I-130, it's not a big deal. It's fixable. But if If it's wrong because like the birth certificate, then that's a major problem. But if it's just a I-130, it usually is not an issue. You could just correct it and make a note that was the case. How can I get my green card as an F1 student on OPT? If you had fallen in love with a classmate, you got married, that's one way. If you invest and start a business, eventually that could lead to that. Employer could sponsor you. There's NIW based on self-filing, based on doing some great work or something. So asylum, UT visa, all these kind of things. Koran Lover says, we answered that. Hi, do you do EB2 NIWs? NIW is called the National Interest Waiver. We do them, and we have partnered with some law firms that do them because our law firm, we do low volume. We try to give a lot of attention to few people. So when we get a lot of cases at once, which is happening right now, case type, what kind of stuff is needed, we either handle ourselves or we have qualified, other firms that we know are really good and do a lot of these that we refer those out. So it depends on your case and when you contact us and want to hire us, with how our caseload looks like. Because again, we keep our caseload low because our difference with our firm is we like to spend a lot of time talking with our most businesses. Once you get paid, they don't want to talk with the client all the time. They got the money, they want to go behind the scenes and get it out. But no, we do the backwards way. We want to spend a lot of time talking with you because I enjoy meeting people and talking with them. You get to know their lives. And the more we talk, the more information we get to help strategize for the long term. So B2 NIW, but it depends on your case and what our current caseload is whenever you contact us. And we're really upfront about it and we talk about it and stuff like that. So best contact us through jqqlaw.com/contact. And then email or attach your or CV so we see what's going on in your background. KPR says, if my husband came here as a visa with a visa adjustment status without interview, if it's possible, yeah. User 9 says, can I file for both my fiance and my brother at the same time? Sure. Well, they ask for double the proof. Well, they're separate cases. They'll need their own money, but separate things doesn't really matter. E says, can he return to U.S. with a valid green card for 4 years? My mom is 78. You can. It's up to the border protection, but usually in this situation, let them in, but it's their discretion. You're welcome, Euro. Mark, yes, we do EB2 NIWs. Sarah says, how can my green card? Already answered that. Let's go to Instagram questions there. Serena says, what happens to your B1, B2 visa once you apply for marriage green card? Essentially, it's voided. I mean, you're going to B2 only, this is valid for 6 months. So your status is going to run out and you're going to be caught. Period of authorized stay is a time that they use. So essentially, you'll be out of status until the decision on your marriage green card. Eurozag, my 2023 tax transcripts aren't processed yet. Can we just submit a tax return? Will that be an issue? Yeah, you can submit the tax returns. They may ask at the interview for your potential. If you don't have them, just get it in with the tax return. Liz says, after DUI, can DACA reply? It gives discretion at that point. It's up to them. Dr. Law, I'm waiting for a reentry permit from 1 year. Reentry permits take anywhere from months to 2 years. It's out of control how long it could take. Mark, we do NIWs, definitely. Moshe says, what is the benefit? What benefit does being married to someone in the reserve? Potentially you get place. If you enter without permission, that. And also, if the person doesn't make enough money, the standard of affidavit support goes, that doesn't make difference. And May says, can mom sponsor a son over 21? She can if the child is single. It's just F2B category. It's just going to take 5 to 7 years. And you got to make sure there's no violations. The child doesn't get, there's all that kind of stuff that goes with it. Okay, dude, we got a lot of repeat questions. Jay says, I got my I-130 approved by USCIS left case in US. Should I wait to file one for? You need to immediately file the I-824 and probably refile an I-130 to see which one's done faster. Sorry that this happened. USCIS changes policy where if you mistakenly put 30 petition, that the case is going to be in the US, but it's supposed to be at the end. They're trying to fix that situation, but not really, as it would be expected from the bureaucracy. Has to do an I-824, and we just throw an I-130, especially if you're a U.S. citizen, and see which one gets approved first. Euro, thank you so much, Dr. Lang. I was gonna give you a high five, Euros. I don't know. So, Dr. Lala, if you keep that up, I have to mute you from the group. I've already answered you like 50 times in the full explanation. So, if you can't listen, you can't listen. Dr. I-485 and I-485, I-140 and I-485 currently. It depends on what kind of case you have, what country you're born. You got to check the visa bulletin. USCIS visa bulletin filing for that type of case, or if it's current. So it's technical because I-140 has there's 10 different kinds of cases. There's like EB1, ABC, there's EB2, EB2, there's EB3. So there's different versions of I-140s. And depending on what country you're from and what USCIS says, You may be able to file, maybe you'll not. So it depends on your case. It says, my daughter and I deported 2 times 20 years ago. My son is a citizen. Can you apply? You got to see what's going on. It's going to be a tough one. You got probably because waivers and stuff. Skip says, why do they test for U.S. and the Medicaid test? What do they test for? When you're doing a green card for tuberculosis, gonorrhea, or syphilis, they're also asking you about your mental health to make sure you're not a harm to your others. They may test for drugs use or ask you about drug use. And they also for a bunch of vaccines. So that's the things they're looking for. Medical exam. Okay, we're gonna go started late. Have some family responsibilities, so we'll see what we can get to. Back here it says, if a notice of intent to revoke approved, again, I-130 petition embassy will give me a second interview. Do a second interview. You shouldn't have let it all this case for like a marriage or I-130 is a family case. The embassy wants to send the case back to revoke it. You need to fight with the embassy as soon as possible. If it still does go to U.S. guys, just refile a new case. If it's a marriage case, frankly, it'll take too long. But you need to just refile because for USCIS come back, fix it instead of the embassy, it's going to take forever. Does dismissed DUI case affect I-485 process? It can, probably not, but it can. I'm talking so loud, I'm losing my voice. Skip says, do they always test for drugs? If they do, what types of drugs? Not always. I don't know. It's up to them. And probably marijuana, but it's up to them. Moore says, can you explain parole in place, please? Sure. Parole in place is the idea. It's a legal fiction, as they say. You entered without permission, but we're going to parole you based on 212D stipulation that lets the president make a decision who's allowed to enter the United States status. And we're going to just say, even though you're in place here, we'll just act like you were paroled. And so it up this essentially fantasy that you did enter lawfully, and that allows you to adjustment of status in many categories. And it says, I filed for adjustment of status. My daughter over a month still didn't receive a receipt. I've been getting more and more in my lives just from people who have not gotten receipts. We have an I-751 case ourselves. It's been a month and a half. They haven't sent the receipt. You need to contact you. What's going on? Did they cash a check? Did they take, so they paid for it? That way for sure it happened. It got in at least, but this is becoming a bigger issue of the receipts not being. So I don't know. You got to contact Lockbox support, potentially the ombudsman, potentially a congressperson. Call up USCIS. Emma, ask Emma or call them. There's a lot of stuff you could do, but it's annoying that happens. Bobo says, my I-130 green card will take more than 10 years as if it was filed 2013. I'm on F1 visa. Is there a legit, I can adjust status and book a consultation? I don't know. I can't tell you if you can. It's a book consultation. We'll look into it there. I am the Queen says, in the interview, I have to say that I don't pay taxes in the past are not necessary. I don't know what your case is, what the situation is that justifies. I can't not say. High help regarding asylum. We handle asylum cases, so our office is not a good resource for that. Carmeron says, how long does EFR take to be approved? I don't know. We're doing pretty good. Not a lot of timeline questions. I think lives where we just jump in and people would join, and it's like, quite long, how long? But I think our regular viewers on here, our 4 p.m. Pacific regular viewers, and not too many questions about timelines. So thank you so much. As you all know, I get super frustrated just no to that, because I want to answer good questions and not just say I don't know, because it sounds kind of annoying. So you've been really kind not asking questions about timelines. I really appreciate that. And then having said that, take for EA. Okay, so let's give it that. The Comrant, I've answered these, and Eurozak, thank you so much. I appreciate helping out on moderating. Does USCIS waive I-751 interviews? Yeah, most of the time. If Trump comes back, will waive the I-751 interview. I had a case once where they didn't, and it was really shocking because people had kids together, house together, and went to the interview because my client was worried. He's like, scheduling an I-751 interview for me. And as soon as he got in there, the officer was like, I don't know why they scheduled an I-751 interview, but you're approved. However, you just got a mortgage recently, and I'm in the house. Could I ask you questions about the mortgage process? So we just stayed an extra 10 minutes to go over the mortgage process with them. So that's that. And we have some tricky cases that really should have an interview based on, like, this person got an interview, and they waive those. So you never know with government. Mocked something. I filed my I-485 May 2023. I received the RFE. Responded same month. 11 months. Yeah, that's May 2023. That's nothing. How long take to replace the green card? 3 months to 2 years. User wants to, can a K1 visa be canceled before it gets approved? Where can one send the cancellation email? It depends on where in the process it is. So you contact USCIS to withdraw it. It's at the embassy. You can withdraw. So you got to contact them. Now, the reality is, if you got to send all your taxes and all this kind of stuff, you just don't send those. They can't even do the interview. So that's that. Miner says, what visa can you get starting a small business? Start costs $4,000. $4,000, not much. So that's going to work. But if you're from a proper country, not proper, but it has a treaty with the United States about the E2 visa, you could do that. But 4,000, it's not impossible, but you figure out what's going on there. Okay, let's see. How long does replacement go? If case dismissed, how can one still get status? You got to find an independent way. It's complicated. I don't know. Abdul says, my wife interview in Pakistan. How long scheduled interview? Pakistan is all over the place. It's gotten, it used to be like a year and a half, 2 years. Now it's like 6 to 9 months. Hopefully it'll be the same. How long does it take to receive the notice of withdrawal? Can someone file again with them? It depends on what your case is, what you're withdrawing. Getting the notice withdrawal is all over the place. It could be a year. But if you withdraw. But it depends on what's going on with your case. Look. Kai says, I filed I-130 for my husband October 2022 and haven't gotten approved yet. If you're a green card holder, yeah, those could take 2 years. If you're a citizen, that's taking too long. I'm not sure why it's taking that long. Kilia says, when could I apply for citizenship? My last trip greater than 6 months was back in 2021. Well, it depends on if you're doing a 3-year based citizenship or a 5-year based. If you're doing 3 years, then you're okay. 5 years, I would wait 4 years, 6 months, and 1 day. It's not an official rule, but I've seen people get denied 4 years, 6 months, 1 day. Okay, Keela Eurozag, podcast listener by starting here today. Thank you so much, Eurozag. We have 2 podcasts. So I have a podcast for people like yourself or that watch consumers and need a higher immigration lawyer. That's the JQK Law Podcast, Immigration Talk. I have a separate podcast called the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox Podcast, which is for other immigration lawyers. It's way more technical. It's probably boring for all y'all, but if you like to listen about immigration law, that one's more sophisticated in the sense that we talk about the nuances. I enjoyed a lot of it. Number 320 was recorded today. So imagine an toolbox. I do a lot of work with immigration attorneys. I love talking about immigration law. And so in addition to, again, talking to people like this, we try to set up seminars, continuing education, magazines, podcasting, all this stuff to help immigration lawyers be better immigration lawyers. I just fell into it. I was listening to a podcast. This great comedian called Tim Dillon. He's like, you can't find your it finds you. It really is. I would never expect it. Didn't make no money. And they weren't like the cool lawyers do like corporate law and the fancy stuff. And I was like immigration law. And I fell into it. And I'm like, dude, this is the best law there is. The clients are always really cool and nice. And we love it really. User 12 says, how can a fiancé visa application gets approval? Just contact USCIS. Can you change the place where you get the visa before I-130 is approved? If you mistakenly said you're doing the case in the status, but you really want to do embassy processing, you need to contact USCIS as soon as possible to try to correct that. If by that you mean you want to change which embassy it is, you can always change that later if it's appropriate which embassy you're going to. Like, for example, you got to live in the embassy or be allowed to reside in the jurisdiction. I'm living in Russia, I can't ask the interview in Indonesia. Maybe Russia you can't because they don't have embassy practicing right now, but it gets complicated. Momsa says, can you answer that? Eurozag, do you have any idea of the interview timelines for Manila embassy? Horrible. Philippines is one of the most backed up embassies from the COVID pandemic, so it's not good, unfortunately. Backed up. I don't know exact timelines though. Surprisingly, we don't do a lot of Filipino cases. So Filipinos a lot of time. There's a couple of famous immigration lawyers that really handle a lot of Filipino cases that probably go there. Mike says, my phone to my wife in Kenya. How long do it take the interview? So Kenya is horrible. We have cases pending. Kenya, Nigeria, a lot of places in Africa, like 2 years. It sucks. A lawsuit. How long for Ethiopia? I don't handle Ethiopia. I've never had an Ethiopian case. Can adjustment of status be approved less 4 months? So yeah, don't quote. I mean, this doesn't mean it's going to happen in your case. We just got a marriage adjustment card. A foreign person was here on a work visa, married a U.S. citizen, approved in 2 months. In weeks. So 2 months in a week. I just got approved today. I was flabbergasted. We also got an I-130 approved in 3 months. Its spouse is Iranian. We did a K3 petition with it. These things do happen, and you're going to hear about this. And I'm going to put on my approvals on Instagram. If you follow us on Instagram, I put copies of our approvals. It happens, but it's not consistent. I expect this case 4 times as long, but both these cases. But the government, it could be 2 or 3 months to get approved. It could be 2 years. It's like all over the place. My biometrics for I-45 isn't done. When will I get my work permit? Who knows? It's like we're getting work permits after 4 weeks, and then some of them take. What's the current time to get deferred actor U.S. visa? I don't know. 765 rejected. Wrong. My picture wasn't returned. Should I submit pics again with the correct fee? Yeah, you should just redo the whole thing. Odinga says, is legal to chase another country where there isn't a backlog? It's not illegal per se, but case in another country, you have to have, they want to, for example, if I want to transfer my case to Canada, which is itself, I wouldn't want to transfer to Canada. You got to show that you're in Canada legally. Sometimes they'll approve it just with a tourist visa for Canada, but it's not that easy to transfer a case that if you're not living in that country. Heroes, that's great. I'll check it out. I think I might have to leave pretty soon. 30 minutes. Okay. What about immigrants with 21 age? I don't know what that means. All right, everybody. Thank you so much and everything. We're always here at 4 p.m. Pacific time. We were late today, but it's, we're here doing a lot of pop-up lives. And if you want to schedule a private meeting, jqqlaw.com/contact. Also, we do private webinars on every other Friday for marriage-based. Contact us. Say you want to join the webinar. The way to get it is go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com, download our guide, and there'll be a second questionnaire there that you could sign up for our free webinar. It's private, so you could go in more detail about this stuff. So if you have questions about timelines, I could sit and explain the 15-minute explanation it is for timelines, because that's the place for it. So marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Having said that, God bless, be safe. And Arya Najat, thank you so much, everybody. It was a really good live session. Any questions about timelines, meaty questions, and just got excited. So I love it. Thanks, everybody. See you next week and probably sooner. Bye-bye.